All right, everyone, gather round. Welcome to today's Masterclass Explainer. Listen, today is a really big day for us because we are officially graduating. We're moving away from being amateur prompt jockeys, the folks who just roll the dice and pray for a good output, and we're stepping up to become professional cinematic directors. Today, we are unpacking the exact blueprint used by top-tier studios to build a highly controlled, incredibly consistent AI video pipeline. So grab your notes because we are treating this explainer exactly like our pre-production call sheet.
Okay, let's dive right into our production call sheet for the day. First, we'll cover the top 1% mindset. Second, script to consistent keyframes. Third, generating cinematic shots. Fourth, hybrid editing. Fifth, timeline control and sound design. And finally, scaling budgets.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the top 1% mindset, amateurs versus studios.
Before we even think about touching a single piece of software, we absolutely have to make a philosophical shift. If you want to build a real, functional video pipeline, your brain has to stop acting like a hobbyist and start operating like a studio executive. Look, the average creator relies on a super basic loop. They write a prompt, generate a clip, and they post it. They are literally at the mercy of random outputs. But the top 1% filmmaker? No way. They build scenes, they control individual frames, and they obsess over maintaining continuity across multiple tools. The real difference between a hobbyist and a pro is that the pro builds a cohesive system rather than just hoping they get lucky with a generation.
And that brings us to this absolute golden rule of the modern AI stack. No single tool equals perfect. Real studios do not rely on one magic app to do the whole shebang. Instead, they stack specialized layers. The best creators combine exactly one generation engine, one control layer, one editing layer, and one enhancement layer. It's this precise combination, this layered stack, that gives you absolute, uncompromising power over your final film.
Moving right along to Section 2, Script to Consistent Keyframes, the Pre-Production Engine. Now, what's really interesting here is that this is exactly where professionals win the game. Text equals random outputs, but an image equals controlled outputs. We never, and I mean never, go straight from text to video. Think about it. If you just copy-paste a script into a video generator, you are basically handing your director's chair straight over to the machine. You lose all control over the lighting, the composition, the specific character features. To win, we have to dictate those visual terms first. So how do we actually dictate those terms? We follow these exact steps. Step 1, we structure our script using ChatGPT. Step 2, we hold off on the video entirely. Instead, we storyboard by generating highly specific keyframes in Midjourney or Leonardo AI. And step 3, guys, this is the ultimate pro trick right here. We lock our film continuity. By using the exact same seed number and the exact same character reference image across all of our prompts, we guarantee that our lead actor looks totally identical in every single shot, way before a single frame of motion is even rendered.
All right, Section 3, Generating Cinematic Shots. Lights, camera, AI.
Once our keyframes are perfectly consistent and that storyboard is locked in, we move the crew right into the production phase. This is where those static images finally wake up and become cinematic motion. We've got incredible options for this, and as a director, you need to know exactly which tool to pull from your kit. For the most director-like control, think precise camera movements and motion brushes, Runway Gen 4.5 is your best all-around workhorse. But if you need the absolute highest benchmark for physics, real-world lighting, and lip sync, Google's Veo 3.1 is just unparalleled. For really natural human motion and character consistency on a tighter budget, Kling 3.0 is a total powerhouse. Pika 2.5 is fantastic when we need fast, stylized motion graphics or really strict first and last frame control. And finally, Luma Dream Machine is brilliant for those sweeping, establishing shots and cinematic B-roll. We take our locked Midjourney keyframes and feed them into these engines based on what the specific shot actually needs.
Which brings us to Section 4, Hybrid Editing, the perfect blend.
Listen, generating the video clips, that's really only half the battle. Now we enter post-production, where we have to marry that AI generation with traditional timeline power. We call this hybrid editing. The crucial point you need to take away here is this. AI alone is still pretty weak for motion graphics and absolute precision. It hallucinates text, right? And it really struggles with exact microsecond timing. So through hybrid editing, we play to the strengths of both worlds. We use AI tools like Runway to generate these breathtaking backgrounds, wild transitions, and visual effects. But then we bring all of that into manual tools like After Effects or DaVinci Resolve. That's where a human retains total manual control over the typography, the branding, and the exact frame-perfect timing of the final cut.
Next up, Section 5, Timeline Control and Sound Design, Multi-Shot Coherence.
As we build out our edit, we shift our focus to the final assembly. This is where multi-shot sequences and audio actually breathe life into the project. Now, I want to remind the crew, multi-shot storytelling is literally where most AI films completely fall apart. Seriously, anyone can make a pretty 3-second clip, but stringing 20 clips together so they feel like one cohesive world? That's tough. For advanced coherence, leveraging tools like Seedance is absolutely vital. It helps seamlessly combine text, image, and audio at a multi-shot level. And of course, everything eventually funnels right into a professional nonlinear editor, like DaVinci Resolve, for absolute, uncompromising timeline control.
And this slide right here brilliantly illustrates our exact chronological winning workflow. This is the rigorous, step-by-step journey from a blank page to a final masterpiece. Day 1 is all about structure, scripting it out with ChatGPT. Day 2 is visual locking, generating those consistent keyframes in Midjourney. Day 3 is motion, feeding those locked images into Runway or Kling. Day 4 brings in the human element. We're generating hyper-realistic voiceovers with 11 Labs and laying down the rough cut in DaVinci. Finally, Day 5 is the invisible magic, sound design, music integration, and that final glossy polish.
Finally, let's talk about Section 6, Scaling Budgets, the Studio Engine Room.
Okay, beautiful art requires serious infrastructure. So let's put on our producer hats for a second. We really need to understand the financial mechanics of our pipeline. On one hand, you have cloud credit systems like Runway or Pika, where you pay per generation. Now, this is highly recommended initially because it's incredibly easy to use, but as you scale up, it gets very expensive very fast. On the other hand, true pro-level control lies in GPU rentals or local hardware. By renting an A100 or H100 GPU on platforms like RunPod, Lambda Labs, or Vast.ai, you're paying roughly 100 to 300 rupees per hour. Yes, it definitely requires more technical know-how to run open-source models this way, but it gives you superior, uncensored control, and it's vastly cheaper in the long term for a busy studio.
Let's see how this actually builds out into a real monthly budget. If you're a starter, spending around 5,000 to 15,000 rupees a month gets you the essentials for sure: Runway, Midjourney, and 11 Labs. As you scale up to a creator, spending maybe 20,000 to 50,000 rupees, you start adding Runway Pro, Kling credits, Pika, and DaVinci Resolve Studio. But when you become a full pro studio, pushing upwards of 50,000 to over a lakh per month, you are utilizing Runway Unlimited, getting exclusive access to VO, managing your own GPU rentals, and running a full-blown After Effects pipeline.
If you've followed me this far, I bet your mindset has already shifted. You're no longer just looking at shiny new AI tools and playing around. You're actively thinking, how do I build a system? How do I refine my pipeline? And I really want to validate that feeling for you right now, because that is exactly how top-tier studios operate. Mastering this layered workflow puts you directly in the top 1% of filmmakers working today.
So we've covered the mindset, that absolutely critical shift from text to video over to image to video, the whole hybrid post-production process, and the financial reality of scaling your compute. I want to leave you with this final thought. Now that you have the exact blueprint to control frames, ensure character continuity, and manage your GPU budget like a true Hollywood producer, what cinematic masterpiece will your new studio create first? Get out there and start building.